Hi guys, and welcome back to Miss Chua's channel. This is our first video in the 8th grade, and it's been 167 days since Martina, Sabrina, and Constanza stole my iPad to film a video.
We love you, Miss Everyday.
Miss, we love you.
We want to talk.
Alright, so let's get started with the video. So, in today's video, it's going to be a review of exponents. See, I'm being too nice. I'm starting you guys off with something easy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let's take a walk down memory lane to the 6th grade. Do you remember these factor trees? Now, if we remember factor trees, we remember that if we wanted to write 24 as a product of its prime, we would write out two branches out of 24, provide two different factors of 24, so 6 and 4. This could have been 12 and 2 or 3 and 8, and we just break down our branches until we only have prime numbers. And see, we only have prime numbers now. So now we can write 24 as being equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. But writing all these 2's is really redundant. So if we remember, we used exponents to simplify this a little bit nicer. So we could have 2 to the power of 3 times 3. So before we continue, let's look at some key vocabulary. We already know that this little 2 is called an exponent, but it can also be called an index or a power. And for this number 8 here that's attached to this exponent, we call this a base. Alright, so let's take a look at our first examples for this video. We're going to be writing expressions using exponents. And the key word here says simplify. So simplify each of the following using exponents. So for letter A, we've got 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So the 3 is being multiplied by itself 4 times, so we can write this as 3 to the power of 4. Notice that I'm leaving it as 3 to the power of 4. I'm not trying to calculate what the answer is. I'm not doing 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27, 27 times 3 is 81. So when we simplify, we can leave it with the exponents. So for letter B, we've got negative 2 times negative 2. So we've got negative 2 is being multiplied by itself. So we have negative 2 to the power of 2. But notice I'm writing this negative 2 inside of parentheses. And the reason why I'm doing that is because we need to make sure that we know that it's the negative 2 that it's being multiplied by itself. So look what happens when we just write negative 2 to the power of 2 without the parentheses. If we were to evaluate this, I would have to do PEMDAS rules, which tells me I have to do the exponent first. So I would do 2 to the power of 2, which is 4, and then I would have to multiply it with the negative in the front. So that would be 4 times negative 1, which is negative 4. But if we go back to what B actually is, negative 2 squared, it's going to be negative 2 times negative 2. And we know a negative times a negative is a positive. So this one would actually equal to 4. So there's a big difference between having these parentheses or not. All right, so if we go back to B, what the answer should be for simplifying is going to be negative 2 in parentheses squared. All right, and then letter C, we've got 6.5 times 6.5 times 6.5 times B times B. So we have 3 of these 6.5s, so it's 6.5 to the power of 3. Now whenever we have decimals though, or fractions that are raised to an exponent, it's much better if we write these in parentheses. It just makes it a lot more clear of what we're doing. So it's going to be in parentheses 6.5 to the power of 3, and then right beside it we can go b squared, because remember when they're beside each other it means that we're multiplying. So just again, whenever we have decimals or fractions, it's a lot better if we put them around parentheses. So for example, if I had 1/2 times 1/2 and I wanted to write this with exponents, I would put 1 over 2 in parentheses and then squared. So here's our first try question for this video. We're going to simplify this expression and keep in mind what we just said about decimals or fractions. Now taking a look at example 2, we're evaluating expressions. So again, the key word for this one is evaluates. It's going to be really important to know the difference between simplifying and evaluating. So evaluate each of the following expressions. So for letter A, we've got 1/2 to the power of 3. Well, this means that we are multiplying 1/2 by itself 3 times. So 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. Now remember, when we're multiplying fractions, it's the easiest, so we just multiply across the top and we multiply across the bottom. So we know that 1 times 1 times 1 is going to be just 1, and 2 times 2 times 2 is going to be 8. So we're actually going to get an answer for this question, so our answer is going to be 1 over 8. Now, if we take a look at letter B, again, this is where we're talking about those parentheses and how it makes a difference. So, PEMDAS rule says that we're going to do our exponents first. So we have 1/2 to the power of 3, and we just saw that 1/2 to the power of 3 is 1 over 8. And then we have that negative in the outside, so that makes it negative 1 over 8. So now for letter C, we've got negative 5 squared, which just means we have negative 5 times negative 5, and we know that a negative times a negative is a positive, so this is going to give us 25. But then for letter D, again, we have to look at our PEMDAS rules, and because there are no parentheses here, we have to do 5 to the power of 2 first, which is 25, and then the negative in the front. So we get negative 25 for this one. All right, so let's apply what we just learned about evaluating expressions and try these two out. All right, our last example for this video is just using order of operations when we have exponents. So for these ones, we're going to evaluate. Again, evaluate means we're going to get an actual answer for whatever our expression is, and we have to follow PEMDAS rules, so keep those in mind. So for letter A, PEMDAS rules tells us we're going to do exponents first. So we're going to do 3 to the power of 4, which is equal to 81. We're just going to write that part down and carry our work. So we've got equal to 3 plus 2 times 81. Then we're going to do multiplication, so 2 times 81, which gives us 162. So 3 plus 162 gives us 165. For letter B, remember when we have a number in front of a parentheses, that means that there's that invisible multiplication sign that we don't see. So it's like really saying negative 3 times, in parentheses, negative 10 squared plus 70, and then we're going to have to do exponents first. Now, if we look at this, it's negative 10 squared, but that negative 10 is not in parentheses. So we're going to do 10 squared, which is 100, and then that negative in front. So we have negative 100. So this becomes negative 3 times, in parentheses, negative 100 plus 70. Then we're going to do what's inside the parentheses, which is going to be negative 100 plus 70, which gives us negative 30. And we're going to multiply that by negative 3. And then negative 3 times negative 30 gives us 90. And lastly, for letter C. Now those two straight lines that are on both sides of this expression, if we remember, those are absolute value signs. So that means that whatever we get on the inside here, we need to take the positive value. So if we have 3 squared, because we have to do 3 squared first because the negative is not with the 3 in parentheses, we have 3 squared, which is 9, and then we have it negative, so negative 9 divided by 27. Now, I don't like division, neither do you, so I'm going to put this as a fraction. So I'm going to put the absolute values of negative 9 over 27, and I can see that I can simplify this fraction, which gives me negative 1/3 inside the absolute value signs. And because the absolute value signs just mean that we want the positive value, our answer is going to be 1 over 3. And grade 8, this is the last try question of your first video for this year. Thanks for watching. Not like you really had a choice.